Let's move on to our next topic here because we'll talk a lot about Will Levis in the next couple of months. Let's talk about Tyler Boyd, the newest Titan, who is not technically yet a Titan. That paperwork has not been signed. Here at the beginning of this next clip from Brian Callahan, he's going to explain, yeah, we don't have that finished yet, but it's going to be soon. He goes on to talk about what kind of addition his former player and now newly acquired player in Tyler Boyd is going to be for the Titans on the field as well as in the locker room.
Official yet. Hasn't signed the papers in general, just to put that out there to start. That'll be official sooner than later, but not quite yet. But Tyler is a slot receiver. That's what he does. That's where he's made his money. That's where his production has come from. He's a fantastic slot receiver on top of it. Most importantly, I think he's an awesome addition to the locker room. He's a great human being, great worker, and everything about him is what we want to be about. And so to add him is really is an impactful add for us, and excited about it. Certainly.
This next clip is Brian again on the topic of Tyler Boyd, and of course, he, in that clip, really, what is there to say besides Brian Callahan confirms what we know to be the truth? Tyler Boyd, slot receiver. And I guess you could say, hey, this is confirming. There's a reason why he was talking in the month leading up to this signing about needing a guy to emerge in the slot. And that's what this next clip is going to dive into a little bit more. What his offense looks like with and without that slot guy, without a reliable slot option, how much, how big a key piece that is to the offense that Brian Callahan has in his head, the vision he has for this team. That's the question he answers here.
Good parallels, obviously bringing Tyler in and having the receivers we have now. It's a style of offense I'm very comfortable with, one that I've seen work a couple different places now. So that does matter, but still at the end of the day, this is the Titans, and this is our offense that we're going to build here. We have different players here, even though Tyler is one that is a carryover player from past experience. So we're still finding out what our guys are going to do well. We're made up differently. We have different talents, and so every day that we come out here, particularly when we get to training camp, we'll get a better feel for who and what we are at all the positions and how we're going to use them.
This final clip on the topic of Tyler Boyd is the first introduction to one of the new Titans assistants. Meet Tyke Tolbert, your new wide receivers coach. You probably heard his name in relation to the Titans' 6th round pick of Jaquan Jackson. He was, at least allegedly, reportedly, a big part of that selection, and we'll actually play a clip. I asked him about the selection of Jaquan Jackson a little bit later in today's episode. But first, he was asked here about having so many veteran receivers in his room, having DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd and Calvin Ridley. There we go. Those guys, having those guys in the room, what that means for him and how that impacts his coaching style and his teaching style.
Helps a great deal because with veteran receivers who've been in the league a long time, they're used to game type situations. They're used to coverages, different coverages, used to seeing different defenses and how they react to them. And I think a veteran receiver who knows where he's going is the quarterback's best friend. So the quarterback can expect a certain guy to be at a certain place at a certain time, and the vets know how to do that, how to get there. Whereas you have more young guys, more rookies coming up, second-year guys, still trying to figure that out. The veteran guys have, quote-unquote, been there, done that, so I think it'd be easier for the quarterback.
That part he mentioned about a quarterback's best friend, that's kind of what we've been, I mean, if you've been listening to the show, we've been harping on that. What a slide, and a lot of times with rookie quarterbacks, you talk about a tight end being the quarterback's best friend, rookie QB's best friend, right? Because he's a shorter distance target, a bigger bodied target, and typically it's if it's a receiving tight end, the way that tight end development works, it's usually a more senior guy, a more developed veteran who is going to be in the right place at the right time and is a dependable asset for the quarterback, a dependable outlet. The next best thing is like a veteran savvy slot receiver, in my opinion. And that's what Tyler Boyd is going to be for Will Levis. Now, all three of those top line veterans on this team are going to be that guy in a sense for Will Levis. And that's a big deal because, and I think I saw Jared Stillman today. He titled very, very Stillman of him to say the Titans are babying Will Levis. I mean, that's intentionally inflammatory, which is the Stillman way. But listen, I'm not gonna push back too hard on that, because the general sentiment of, we're going to make this a padded room for you, pal. We are going to make this as cushy a situation as we possibly can. Now, is it going to be the cushiest in the league? Is it going to be Jalen Hurts with the best offensive line in football and AJ Brown and Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert as your weapons as a young player, third year player? It's not quite that. But with the limited resources we've had and the limited timeline we've had to set this up for you, we have dramatically improved the situation around you, giving you as few excuses as humanly possible for why this didn't work out, why you didn't show significant development this year. It does not have to be linear, because development is not linear, but it needs to be ultimately trending in the right direction. You've got 17 games to do it. Go. Good luck. Let's see what happens. That's the situation that he is in. And I think those three guys being a QB's best friend style receiver is going to be a big part of that. Derek in the comments, before we move on here, says, it's nice to get straight answers from the team versus what we've gotten the last 6 years. I turned to my friend Kayla Anderson, who you'll know from 104.5, amongst other things here in the Nashville media market. I turned to her today during one of the pressers and I said, and this was right after we talked to all of the assistant coaches, man, none of those guys were a bad quote. And she said, I know, I noticed that too. It felt like a different energy in the air than what we had become accustomed to. And she said, you also just got straight answers from them. It's like they had a vision, had a plan of what to say. And I countered with, I don't know how much of it was they actually had a vision and a plan for what to say, but how much of it is them just feeling free to speak their minds? Because last year and the previous years under Mike Vrabel, which I'm not trying to play revisionist history and say it was all doom and gloom and terrible. I don't see the Vrabel years as bad ones on the whole. I really don't. It went downhill at the end, but so did the roster, and there's a lot of complication there. Generally speaking, I think Mike Vrabel was a good NFL coach and did a lot of good things, often did more with less. But that being said, the way that we spoke to his assistant coaches, you could regularly see gears turning in guys' heads as to what can I say that I know no one's going to give me a hard time for when I get into the coaching meeting later, that I know Mike isn't going to be upset with me about potentially, that I know is going to fit the culture of communication that we have in this building. That could not be any. I mean, again, it's one time. Let's see. Here's the big thing. Honestly, it's all hunky dory right now. This team with this coaching staff has not played any games. Nothing has gone wrong. Let's wait for something to go wrong, because it's going to, right? They'll go on a 2 or 3 game losing streak. They will have a significant injury, or there'll be reports from inside the building of guys not getting, something happens, because that's the nature of sports. That's the nature of how this is going to go. And once something goes wrong, let's see if things change. I get the impression they're not going to. Maybe that's wishful thinking, because it would suck if it just went back to the Gestapo style military state that we used to live under. But I get the impression that through the thick and the thin, this is the way it's going to be. And that's a really exciting and refreshing thing for the Tennessee Titans. I just want to make sure, I want to see if there's any more comments here from folks. Derek saying, oh no, they're building around the guy they want to be their franchise quarterback. How dare they?